born again. Come give me your sweetness. Now there's you there gets no weakness. Woman, don't you know with you I'm born again. I was half, not whole in step, with none reaching through this world in need. Whoa. Come show me your kindness. In your arms, you know I'll find this. Woman, don't you know with you I'm born again.
This is Selwyn Collins from New York. Welcome to CWS Journeys. This evening is going to be very exciting.
I'm born again.
Sorry about that. The gentleman you just seen is Cedric Turner, an entertainer, an actor, musician. He's been in many plays and so on. You'll hear more about his bio as the night progresses, the conversation progresses. I've never done this before, where I have a guest go on before the show starts and just entertain the browsers. But Cedric has an amazing energy, amazing spirit. His brother came in here, he brought his guitar, and so we're going to have something a little different tonight. Let me tell you a little bit about Cedric Turner. His most recent role was as Delbert Tibbs in The Exonerated at the Connecticut Repertory Theater, where he created music for the poetry and played guitar throughout. He can be seen as the bluesman in the opening credits of the Dave Chappelle show. He has performed in theaters in New York City and across the country as Old Man Henry in Lee Simon's play Same Train, and will be doing the same this summer as a main stage production at the National Black Theater Festival in Winston-Salem. He played Frank in West Memphis Mojo, Levy in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Boy Willie in Piano Lessons, The Meeting as Martin Luther King. In musicals such as Jim in Big River, leading player in Pippin, and both roles of Guitar Man and Joe simultaneously in the production of Spunk. You know, there's much more, but I don't want to spoil it. I like when a guest comes on, because I believe each person is a gem with many facets, and oftentimes we only get a glimpse of one or two of the facets and we form an opinion. What I like to do during the conversation is to twist the gem. And so by the end of the conversation, hopefully we get a more multidimensional perspective of who this person is. So I am going to bring Cedric Turner on right now. There he is, ladies and gentlemen, on the other side of the screen. Cedric, welcome to CWS.
My pleasure to be here. How are you doing?
I am fine, thank you. I'm fine, thank you. I know you wear many hats, most of which we will touch on this evening. But tell me, what are you inclined to say when people ask you what you do?
The first thing out of my mouth wants to say writer.
Right.
I want to say I'm a writer. But that could be because, you know, I'm 64 years old now, and so, you know, I take great pride in being able.
You take care of yourself.
Yeah. I take great pride in doing something and labeling myself as something that I can do till the day I die, you know, and that is right.
Till the day you die.
Yeah, I mean, well, there are people who can act till the day they die, but writing is something. And you know what I'm finding out, what I'm discovering? They say that when you get a certain age, you start to regress. But as a writer,
yes,
you just get better and better. Oh yeah, There's no doubt. I'm having sort of like a second career, not even a career. I'm energized like I was when I first got to New York.
Man,
And
we
excited.
got to talk about this because
Yeah.
you've written a book, you're writing another one, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
What does writing do for you?
Oh my God, don't get me started. But I'm gonna try to keep it clean.
Yes.
It certainly takes the place of a lot of what I was doing wrong with myself.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, the brain is like a muscle. If you use it, if you don't use it, you lose it. And if you use it, there's so many rewards that come with using your brain.
Yes.
And that's the wonderful thing about age, you know, because we don't chase after, you know, I don't sit by the phone anymore waiting for the job. I'm sitting there trying to create the job, not only for myself, but for others. As I mentioned to you over the phone about paying it forward,
Yes.
when you have that goal in mind, you release the id, which, you know, you have the id, the ego, and the superego, which is Freudian. We have basically 3 personalities, most of us do. I wrote a one-man show based on that. And Catfish Turner is the id. He's that crazy fool who wants to be on stage. You know what I mean? He can't get off stage. He can never get off stage for some reason. He goes out. He wants to have. I want to have that one jack. He wants to have 6, and he eventually gets me in trouble. And he eventually has me dragging home, bumping into whatever, trying to get home at 6 o'clock in the morning. So usually when I get off stage, I have to tell him to stay where he is, because he wants to follow me.
Wants to follow you.
I can't let him follow me, man. You know, I love his energy, but I can only use it on stage. Now off stage, you know, he's
Where
just
does
too
this character came from?
He's too much. Pardon me?
Where does this character came from?
Where does he come from? I think we all have it.
Ah.
When I met Robin Williams' character was very much like that. Eddie Murphy has his own. Dave Chappelle, who I work with, has his own. It's an on-camera persona.
Yes, yes.
When people are looking at you from the stage or from the screen, from TV land. But when we turn it off because we can't have it 24/7.
If you weren't doing what you're doing today, what career would you?
I'd be
like
dead
to have?
right now. I'd
You'd
be
be dead.
dead. I'm just
What-
joking.
what else?
I can't imagine. I came out the womb, my mama said, with something on my mind and something to say in clowning. And so, and when I look at pictures as a child, I was always doing that extra thing for the group picture. You know, making funny faces or hanging upside down on the swing. So it's always been innate in me too.
That explains the affinity for the theater and so on.
Exactly, but I go
music.
beyond that. Let me mention this
go
before
ahead.
we get into it. I'm also an artist. I was born with a wherewithal. Dad used to say, "You were born to sew." When I used to make my own clothes, I said, "I was never born to. No one's born to sew. You're born with the ability, the wherewithal to know, to differentiate between good shapes and bad shapes." You know, in first grade they asked me to draw a man, and everyone else drew a stick man. I drew a full-bodied man, a Superman, because I was into Superman at the time. So I ended up being, for years, the class artist. I sculpture, I make furniture. Let me just put it this way before because I know you don't have a lot of time. Any discipline that requires a little bit of artistic skill,
Here you are.
be it cooking. You know, I once even said, cooking is an art. If on top of the stove is where you start, but down below, a big mistake, if there's no grandma in what you bake. So there explains
You
the
know,
art.
I want to ask you to give us a glimpse, 2 periods of your life,
All right?
9 and 16.
Okay.
Take us to the 9-year-old Cedric.
Muhammad Ali, standing in my doorway in the bedroom. The bedroom was the lights were out, and the lights in the hallway was behind it. And I saw was a silhouette of this humongous man whose head looked like it was hitting the door ceiling. I cried because I thought it was the Booger Man until I heard my mama laughing, and that was the first time I met my first cousin, Muhammad Ali.
Your first cousin.
My first cousin, Muhammad Ali. My mother, his father, sisters and brothers. Long story to that too, because it goes all the way back to slavery. But he did this sound. I won't do it on this mic because it kind of woke us up. And I developed that sound. And the first thing out of his mouth was, "This is a legend of Cassius Clay, the most famous man in the world today. He talks a great deal." And he went throughout this entire poem. I won't go through the poem. But from that moment on, I knew that there was something in me that he was bringing out. I always had it, but at 9 and 10 years old, when Ali came into my life, I knew it would shine. And it's been shining ever since. It's a gift that we all have in our family, with one discipline or another. I just happen to be the one that has inherited it all, with the exception of math. Math skipped over my head and hit my son and my grandchildren. But for me, it's art.
What about 16?
16. I won't get into that. But, no, I will. I was innocent. In Kentucky, we back in the days when we were integrated, when schools were we went from junior high to high school. And high school was part white school, a mixture of a lot of Jews in Louisville. And I met white people really for the first time. Other than the store owner, who we used to go and steal stuffed candy from his store. He was the only other white person that we had before then. But when I got to high school, the 9th grade, I met a lot of white folks. And we were all curious. The white girls were just as curious about us as we were about them. And we called them local yokels because they would come across the track and across the highway just to once you go back, you don't go back kind of thing. And they would knock on our window. And at one time I just, I was definitely afraid of girls at that point. But I was challenged by my friends, and I said, okay, let me try this. And they set up the bedroom and everything, and it didn't happen. I was scared out of my wits for 2 reasons. First of all, she was white. I was thinking about lynchings. And second, it was my first time. Nothing happened. It scared me. I mean, since then, of course, it has happened. Of course, laugh, right? Happily so. But back then, that almost destroyed me as a teenager.
Yes.
Because I spent most of my teenage years lying on innocent girls that had nothing to do with me, but lying. Yeah, man, you know how kids have to, right? And man, I never thought it was going to happen for me. I mean, I was preoccupied with it day in and day out for at least 3, 4 years before.
Let me ask you.
So you asked me those years.
I know. What's the music? When did you first get introduced to it, or when did you realize that?
When did I realize it? I'm not quite sure. I know that my mother bought me a guitar for Christmas, and I slept with it on the bunk bed, and when I woke up, it was down on the floor in pieces because I must have rolled over and knocked it off the out of the bed. She gave me another one the second year, and I fiddled around with it, but it was in high school, I think, when I felt that sense of music coming to me when I sung "Stand By Me" with the guitar. It was just one note. Stand by me, because I couldn't really play, so it was a one-note thing. And needless to say, I was horrible. I was absolutely horrible. And so when I fell at something, it just makes me go for it.
So that drove you.
That drove me. Also, I was all-state, close to being All-American, leading middle linebacker. I was very good at wrestling, and also very good at shot put. So I was a rather active.
You spoke of a mom. What is the fondest memories you have of your parents?
My fondest memories of Mom, what is it? Oh, Mom used to recite Paul Laurence Dunbar's "Liars, Liars, bless the Lord. Don't you know the days of Broadway, if you don't get up, you scamp, there's going to be trouble in this camp. Things I'm going to let you sleep while I make sure hold the key. That's a funny how to do. Don't you hear me, lies of you? And
what did that do for you?
That got me really, perhaps into poetry and acting. She would wear an Aunt Jemima rag around her head and have a broom. And she'd act it out, man. And we used to just sit around her.
I see where you get this theater thing.
I never even thought about that until now. I never even thought about that till now. My fondest memories of my father, even though he was a very, very hard. He was a man. He grew up in the South. His dad was run over by white guys, so he had to quit school in the 8th grade to take care of the other 11 brothers and sisters that he had. And his mother was really a staunch, mean. I could say other names.
His grandma.
His grandma. Yeah. We had to push her in the grave. She was 104 when she was ready to go. But Daddy was rather rough on us. He was rather mean. But the fondest memory I have of my father, I would have said as a child, it would have been my first baseball game that I went to see. But I was much older with a memory that I will never forget. I read 50 pages of Dianetics, because usually when I read a novel of sorts, I get bored by it in 50 pages. I've already figured it out. And I figured it out. And I called Dad. I said, Dad, I'm coming home. He says, why? To forgive you. So I met him at my brother's front yard. As soon as I got out the car, I ran over to him, grabbed him, and gave him a kiss on both cheeks. And he was shocked. He said, what's that for? I said, because I'm forgiving you and I love you, Dad. And I'm getting rid of the demons.
Yes.
Because you have to, so in order to move forward. You have to like collect the pieces of your past, glue them together, and just forgive. Forgiveness is a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
It's the example of that white boy being forgiven by the relatives of those 9 black people in church.
Have those demons ever come back?
Oh, of course they come back every now and then, but you got to keep them at bay. Of course they come back, man. I have to fight those demons in dreams and everywhere else.
Let's talk Mom. Right? She bought you these 2 guitars.
Oh, yeah.
She recited poems.
Yeah.
She did the whole skit with the broom and so on and so forth. And you just discovered that might have impressed upon you some way.
Oh, yeah.
This thirst you have for theater. Was Mom the balance to Dad's?
I was just going to say that.
To him?
She was his yin.
She was his yin.
She was the yin to his yang.
Was she your go-to person?
In a New
Usually when
York,
things don't go
in
right?
a New York minute.
Gotcha. If she were telling someone a story, a stranger, about you, what do you think she'd be saying?
Boy, get from under my dress. You're always sitting between my legs. Always up under me, or get away from that TV because you're still nearby me, watching me, with everything I do. Go outside, play. Quit worrying about the Cuban Missile Crisis. But Mom, we live next to Fort Knox, and they said that they dropped the A-bomb on that. Louisville is we're only 50 miles away. And I would see the Goodyear blimp and run into the house thinking it was the Russians coming. So I remember Mom always trying to ease me. And she would put me, because I could hardly sleep, she would put me to sleep by singing to me and rubbing my chest. And I'd eventually fall asleep.
How many of you?
Oh, 3 brothers, 4 brothers actually, and I'm counting me, including me.
Right.
3 brothers and 3 sisters.
Okay.
Yeah.
You the last?
No, I'm smack dab in the middle.
In the middle, you're the full one.
I'm the peacemaker. I'm the peacemaker of the family, man. As bad as I'm also the black sheep of the family, but also the peacemaker of the family.
Did she encourage you to sing, Dad?
No. Mom wasn't like that. Mom didn't sit down and say you must. Mom was a nurturer. My mother.
But did she inspire you?
My mother had a master's degree in math, so she
in math.
In math. Yeah, she went to the same school I graduated from, and she went at 16 on $10 by.
So how math skipped over you?
Actually, I thought it did as an artist because I used that part of my brain a lot more until I discovered just in the past 6 months when I started creating this body of music and Logic Pro and GarageBand that it's all about math. That is math. Somebody told me, Cedric, math didn't skip over you.
There's something I read that you were doing. A book you're putting together. Like your second with a combination of Facebook posts and that's math.
That's math. That's math, and it's going to be a lot of fun because I when I go on Facebook, I don't play games on Facebook, and I have a tendency to be very serious, and I only go on Facebook when I'm impulsively responding to something some current event.
Yes. What inspired that idea? Why do you think people need to see an amalgamation of things that are already said?
It wasn't.
Where did that come from? From humor?
It just came out of.
It
just came out of the blue, man. Because I hated Facebook. I used to come down on people about Facebook, but then I realized that Facebook, there's a thing about it. There's a phenomenon about Facebook, and that is the immediacy, and the immediacy of the audience, like a live radio show. The immediacy of the audience, and also Facebook is like a writer's workshop for me. Because I can't stand writers' workshops because they're all idiots. They don't know how to criticize anything. So, but in Facebook, you can get a taste and a touch of what you're saying right, what you're writing right, and what you're writing wrong. And everything can get lost in interpretation. So what you do is you focus on making sure that a wide variety, as large an audience of people will understand what you're saying, because you don't want them to misunderstand.
Yes.
You know, which is why I hate texting, because I've lost a lot of friends from texting. Because everything gets lost in interpretation.
Exactly.
And everyone doesn't read or see a word.
The nuance is lost.
Right.
So, who were some of your favorite musicians when you were growing up?
Diana Washington, Brooke Benton. Mom used to play
Brooke Benton?
Brooke Benton.
Really?
And Diana Washington. There was a duet that they did that I used to love, and I used to, I was crazy about that.
Can you play any Brooke Benton piece?
I can't. Other than Stand By Me. But it's been so long since, don't hold me on that, because it's been too long since I played that. And I broke away from that the moment I realized I messed it up in high school. But then eventually I left Brooke Benton and Diana Washington when I discovered four guys from England. When,
Jerry Smith.
With Beatle heritage, the Beatles.
Okay.
You know, and I got into the Beatles until I heard this sound: get on up, get on down, get the drummer song, James Brown. And that's when I found my soul. I left those white boys alone.
So you had quite a journey.
Oh yeah, and that's
Is it fair, if I may use this analogy, walking through an orchard and going from fruit tree variety, going through variety of fruit trees from one type to the next until you found the one that really resonated with you?
That was the pleasure of growing up in the suburbs.
Wow.
Because you were surrounded by woods. You know, there's nothing sweeter than the blackberry. It's the sweetest, as far as I'm concerned, it's the sweetest berry on the face of the earth. And they always say the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. And that's so true with blackberry.
You're a musician, right?
Yeah.
Seasoned, you know, done a lot of stuff.
Not that season, you know what I mean? I really just started going into my own as a musician recently.
All right.
You know.
I mean, your experience, exposed.
Yeah, because as I said, I get caught up into so many disciplines, and I'm all over the place. But now I'm learning to focus on this.
Yes, okay. So the thing is, what is it about James Brown that appealed to you?
Guttural, man, real. You know, ethnically real, and not only that, but it was the sign of the times. It was the '60s, and it came up. You know, it's so funny how there's usually a vacuum in the geopolitical atmosphere where there's something needed, like right now, for instance, and where you need a leadership of sorts, or an artist of sorts, or someone to come to the surface and make things happen, and make people believe in something that's good and new. Ali did that. James Brown did that. Martin Luther King did that. Malcolm X did that. You know, and each period of our history had that. You know, you had Nat Turner during the 18th century. You had Marcus Garvey. You had you know, and that's what we need right now. Even though we do have Obama, we need something on the other side of the Obama card, man, because you know the black consciousness right now has waned, and there is now this rejuvenation of the black consciousness that is occurring right now. And I want to be on the cusp of that. I always like to be 10 years ahead of everybody. And I usually am.
What do you think? What would be your vehicle that would surf the cusp of that?
The piece that I just finished creating with GarageBand and Logic Pro, I've written a piece that has no characters. It's all poetry, prose, and spoken word. And I did every bit of music from beginning to end. I have pieces inside it that are like symphonies, orchestrated, fully orchestrated with a full orchestration, and then I have something very simplistic like after all these years I was able to strum deep, skip James Corn blues from my head to my feet, then woke up one morning to a breathtaking day to look forward to in my stride of Broadway. I tried to re-download Skip in the hard drive of my soul. He was nowhere to be found. I had nowhere to go. I guess I'll play Van and go cut off my ear. Find my hollow bottom to fall down into, I fear, going down so slow. My legs go long. Don't need no doctor. I'm home, gone. So tell the undertaker I'm all ready. I'm already gone. Hear that morning plane blowing its horn. Don't need no suitcase, for I'm already gone. So tell the ticket taker I'm already gone, already gone. Where I'm going, I don't really know. But once I get there, I'm gonna rest my bones. I'm gonna rest my bones for sure. Feeling so low down as I sing this song. Must be my last, for I'm already gone. So tell the undertaker can't use my money maker. Later, alligator, I'm already gone. I could keep going with that song.
Awesome.
When I'm doing it in a club, I go on for a long time.
Awesome.
But this is radio, so we must mind the time. And that song for me, man, I wrote that song originally for a ghost out of my novel that I had called Hollow Bottom, and about a mother who loses her son, based on a true story actually that happened in 1936, where 20,000 white folks showed up in Owensboro, Kentucky, to watch this young boy be hung till dead. Up to that point, they had a death by electrocution, but they wanted to make an example of that boy. And he claimed his innocence, but they didn't care, you know. And it angered me to no end, so I decided to write something based on that. But I took it to where I wanted to go. And what I've done is I created a sort of a superhero, black superhero, a sort of an African, what they got, gyro, they call it gyro, the guitar player who comes along, named Smoke. And he spoils everybody's plans. He spoils these white folks' plans. You know, needless to say, at the end of the novel, the boy doesn't get hung.
Let me ask you, that you brought up Hollow Bottom. I like to go with the flow.
Go ahead.
Do you remember the spiritual space you were in when you started to write Hollow Bottom?
Wow. You know, I'm not quite sure if I was at that point. I was looking for it. I was searching for it. Hollow Bottom was the whole reason why I wrote that, because I was empty of spiritual.
Right.
You know what I mean? It helped me. Hollow Bottom helped me find it actually.
Okay.
And it's the lead in the story is a woman. It's not even a man. It's a woman.
That's interesting. Those are some very interesting paradoxes.
I give her all these African things, these African magic, you know, that she's able to do, to fly. She's able to do so much, and it's all African, man. I had to do my research on this. I had to go back.
The name Hollow Bottom wasn't about your absence of spirituality.
It comes from a little alluvial pool. That was
But in this question, you're discovering that
that's what it is, yeah. That's exactly what you just said is what it is.
Absence of spirituality.
Yes.
And then
it's the abyss. It's the eternal, ethereal abyss, my friend. It's, you know what it's saying? In fact, saying that as much as we like to think that God is omnipotent and big and over the entire cosmos and universe, he could be so small and minute that we can't put a name on him. We've been struggling to do that, but people are fighting wars and killing each other over this big thing called God, when he is innate in each and every one of us. This is what I love about Francis, Pope Francis. He's leaning toward that, man. Almost everything that he's coming up with, he's leaning toward. You know, even look at that car. He could have had a big old limo, but what did he decide to ride in?
Yeah.
So he's leaning toward the humility of being graced and blessed by God. That's what Jesus Christ was about. That's what Allah was about. You know what I'm saying? That's what from the guy who Gandhi was about. That's what Martin Luther King was trying to be about. So it's a humility of being human, man. And that's what is that? Mercy, learning to. We're not here alone, and we're going to find out that we're not here alone. He actually suggested that there may be someone beyond, something beyond us, and I think that the universe is. It's all encompassing, but also inside.
And you're talking my language. I want to go back to this Hall of Water.
Go ahead.
What was the inspiration for that stage play?
Oh, because it had to, man. It had to scream. It was
that the intention when you first wrote it?
No, I didn't. No.
So where did it come from?
No. It came from the language that I was using in the piece. The language said to me that it needed to speak. To be dramatized.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it came, brother. Incidentally, Hollow Bottom in the novel and in the play itself is this woman walks along this creek till she finds this like I said, a Lamuvian pool, which is a pool that comes up out of the earth out of nowhere. And it was so deep that it was like greenish black. And you threw something in and it disappeared. I got sucked into the earth. And so she jumps in and she becomes the water. She becomes the essence of who she is. That's what in all religions, women are the water. She becomes the water. And eventually she flows and then slows down and freezes because winter has come, and she flows again until she goes out into the ocean, and then of course dissipates into the sky to go back to the mountain peak, become a brook, and start all over again. The cycle
transforms
life. That's all that Hollow Bottom is about. It's meaning that life, there is no beginning and no end. There's always this continuum, this continuation of life.
Let's end this segment right on that note. And maybe come back. I want to talk a little bit more about Hollow Bottom, because I'm fascinated.
You got it.
Would you want me to play some music, or you want to play some music?
You want to play it out or play it through?
I mean, we're on break right now, but would you like to play it? You can strum your guitar, you know.
I'm having fun, man. You know that?
Do your thing.
Yeah. Everything must change. Nothing stays the same. Everyone will change. Nothing and no one goes unchanged. The young become the old. Mysteries do unfold. That's the way of time.